Hi, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Welcome to DURGASOFT. As you know, today we are going to start a new batch on MySQL. Okay, so as this is our first demo, first class, let me give you today an introduction of database and SQL. Okay, as you know, the duration is of 35 days, starting from today. 35 sessions are a day. Okay, mostly the classes will be from Monday to Friday, and the course fees is of 3,000. Okay, first let me introduce about myself. I am Divya. I have about 8+ years of experience into data analytics. Currently, I'm working in one of the MNCs as a senior data analyst in Hyderabad itself. And I have experience in teaching all the data science subjects like SQL, Tableau, Power BI, Python, statistics, and machine learning. Okay, so yeah, this is about me. Let me start the introduction of MySQL today. So before starting understanding about SQL, let's talk a little bit about data, importance of data, right? We know that on daily basis, we will generate lots and lots of data, right? Whatever we do nowadays, maybe let me tell you from the demonetization. Right? Whenever demonetization happened, at that time, suddenly we all started doing digital payments, right? Previously, we used to, use cash payments and all, but from demonetization, we started using all online, payment applications like maybe it can be Phone Pay, Google Pay, Paytm, right? Like that, However, uh, in daily life, not only these digital payments. If I take an example of COVID, right? Whenever pandemic, COVID started, we started doing everything in online, correct? We started doing online shopping. We started online payments, of course, from the demonetization, right? And we started watching even movies or series in OTT platforms, correct? And we started doing work from homes. And of course, today also we connected in online to learn something, right? We are doing so much things in online. Whatever we are doing online, actually what is happening at the back end, we are generating data, correct? For example, suppose let me take an example of Amazon. We all know that, correct? We can order any products from the Amazon. Once you order any product, what will happen at the back end? Some data will be generated, right? Like suppose customer details, like your name, your address, your phone number, your mail ID, correct? All those are nothing but data only. Not only that, what product you purchased, what is the price of the product, right? Supplier details, correct? All these things is nothing but data only. Okay. See, due to this reason, why I'm saying this all these things in a sense, whatever we do today, we all know that we are using so many social media applications, right? On a daily, we will use YouTube, we will use Instagram, Facebook. By using all these things, also we are generating data only. Correct? As we are generating lots and lots of data on the daily basis, definitely there should be some system, some robust system should be there to maintain the data, right? To store the data, to maintain the data. Definitely there should be one, robust system as we are generating huge data on daily basis. That's where database came into picture. Database is something where we will store the data, or else I can say it is a collection of data. Okay. We will create a database and we will store for each and every company nowadays having its own database. Amazon people will have its own database where they will store their data. Like whenever I order something, each and every detail of mine and the complete details of that particular order will be saved in their database, right? It can be my details, It can be the date of order, time of order, when it is, if I, even the status of the order, whether it is shipped or not, whether I received it or not, everything, even the product details, supplier details, everything will be stored in their database. Likewise, suppose if it is Netflix, Swiggy, whatever it is, whatever we will use in real time, or else not only this applications, whatever we are using in real time, normally for each and every company out there, they will maintain their data in their database only. Okay. So I can say database definition is of database is nothing but collection of data. Okay. Next, why we understood about database? Because just to understand, why I explain all these examples, because just to understand the importance of learning SQL, right? Because whatever we do today, whatever companies are doing today, they are generating data, and as they are generating lots and lots of data, they need to maintain their own database to store their data or to maintain their data, right? Now, let's talk about SQL. Then what is SQL? First of all, the full form of SQL is structured query language, right? Then what exactly SQL is? In the sense, I can simply explain the definition, but before that, if there is any students completely new to SQL, to make them also understand or to make you guys relate to the concept perfectly, I would like to take one example and explain you about what is SQL. Okay, so imagine this is one school. Okay, so where I'm talking about 10th class, maybe A section. They're having 2 or 3 sections. I'm talking about 10th A section. In this particular class, in every class in this particular school, they will maintain a register. Okay. In that register, basically they will store all the details of the students. Maybe something like student roll number or student ID, student name, maybe student attendance, or maybe student marks. Let's take it an example. Okay. Previously also, maybe in our school days also, they used to, maintain a register in our class to maintain the attendance, right? Something like that. Okay. This is a register, a kind of book in which they are maintaining all the data of the students. Okay. So obviously, one day, principal of that school wanted to check the performance of the students, and what he did, he called his peon and he said to his peon that go to 10th A section and bring the register. Okay, this peon, what he did, he went to the class, he took the register and he gave to the principal. Okay, so the same scenario, instead of registers, if they started storing in the form of database, first of all, data can be stored in any format. Either previously what used to happen, everything was, everything was, they used to store in books only, books or papers or files, right? So as we are generated, as the data generation increased, then computers came into existence. Whenever computers came into existence, in every company, they stopped doing paperwork and they started saving their work in the computers, maybe in the form of Excel file, maybe in the form of text file, like that. Whatever is open now, for whatever I'm using, this is an Excel file, right? So in Excel file also, they can store the data like that. Previously, they used to store the data in Excel file also. Okay, but nowadays, of course, we can store the data in Excel file, but we have some limitations here. Okay. What are all the limitations of Excel file and why database came into existence also? I'll explain you in a couple of these. Okay. But the main limitation is that, first limitation is that in Excel file, we can store up to 1 million rows of data only. What if I had to store more than that data? Excel file won't support me. Okay, like that. However, we started generating lots and lots of data. Databases came into existence, right? Now, imagine the previous example, whatever I said. This is a normal school where I talk about, where I just said you about 10th year, right? Imagine now this is a big university, maybe something like our JNT University, something like that, okay? In that university, we are having so many people. Okay, so instead of maintaining the data in the registered, they started maintaining the data in the databases. Imagine, okay, this is a database. Instead of registers, that particular university, they are storing the database, storing the data inside database. Okay, now principal wanted to see the students' data, and in the previous example, however, when principal called the peon, and definitely he might use some language, right? It can be English, it can be Hindi, it can be Telugu. This principal might use some language. Let's consider maybe English. In English language, he said to the peon that go to 10th and bring the register. Then only peon understood what exactly principal wanted, and he went to that particular class and he took the register, right? In the same way, whenever we are we are storing data inside a database, this principal, whenever he need to see the data, here also he need to use a language called as SQL to communicate with the database, whatever he wanted to see that data, to make database understand exactly what principal needed, he should use a language called as SQL. However, he used English here to make understand peon what he want. Here, directly from the database, whatever he wanted to see, just to convey that, he convey his requirement to the database, he should use SQL as a language. Okay, am I clear? What is SQL? Basically, it
Yes,
is a
yes.
language. Perfect. Basically, SQL is nothing but, let me write it here. SQL is a language which is used to communicate with the database. Okay, to communicate with the database, we will use SQL. As SQL, we will have something called as queries in it. By using the queries, we will communicate with the database according to our requirements. Okay, this is about SQL. So now we understood about what is database. Database is nothing but a collection of data where we will store all the data. SQL is nothing but it's a language by using which we'll communicate with the database, right? Now, what is MySQL then? I said SQL is a language. Okay, then what is MySQL in the sense? SQL is a language, of course. Whatever concepts we are going to learn, that is of SQL only. Okay, that is a universal declared language only, which is used to communicate with the database. Then what is MySQL? In the sense, in our market, we have some tools to use the databases. Something like MySQL, Oracle SQL, okay, SQL Server, okay, maybe PostgreSQL. Like that, we are having some tools in the market, okay. Suppose this MySQL and Oracle SQL are the tools from Oracle company. SQL Server is a tool from Microsoft company. Like that, we are having some tools in the market from some companies. Okay, so to use the SQL to maintain the database, we can use any of this tool. Some companies will use MySQL, some companies will use Oracle SQL, some will use SQL Server, like that. But the main concept is of SQL concept only. The subject is completely about SQL only, but to use that subject, we will use any of these tools. Okay, the reason why we are going to learn MySQL in the sense that is an open source platform. Open source platform in the sense this is freely available to everyone. That is the reason most of the companies nowadays, whether it can be startups, whether it can be MNCs, they are using MySQL only a lot. That is the reason we are learning MySQL. But as I said, the concepts is of SQL only. Once you learn our MySQL, concepts, even you can use the same concepts in Oracle SQL and SQL Server also. Okay, no problem. Concepts will be same, syntaxes will be same, everything will be same. If you learn MySQL, it doesn't mean that you can able to work on MySQL only. You can even work on Oracle SQL. You can even work on SQL Server also. PostgreSQL also, there will be little bit of changes, but mostly the concepts will be same. Okay, like that. So what we will do basically, first we'll create the database. Of course, once we started working in any companies, we will first connect to our client's database, right? Then in that database, we will create tables. Let me write it here. First, we'll create the database, or in real time, we will connect to our client's database. Inside that, we will create tables. Inside that, we will store the data. Okay, like this. Something like, we know that, suppose you can see here. However, we will divide our disk space into something, and if inside that we will save some folders, and inside that folders we will save our work, right? Likewise, here what we will do, we will first create the database. Inside the database, we will create the tables. Inside the tables, we will store the data. Okay. Now let me take one example. Suppose I'm writing here one table of employees. Employees is my table name. In that, I'm storing some data like employee ID, employee name, salary, date of joining. Okay, like this, I'm giving some data. Now let me enter some data, random data quickly. Okay. So here employees is my table name. Vertical thing. First of all, the tables is nothing but it is a collection of rows and columns. Okay. You might know about this, right? So here employees is the table name. Vertical thing, whatever we are writing, that is nothing but column. Okay. Horizontal thing, whatever we are writing, that is nothing but row. So what I can say now, here in this table, I'm having 4 columns. That is employee ID 1 column, employee name 1 column, salary 1 column, date of joining 1 column. And in that, I'm having 2 rows of data. This is my first row of data, and this is my second row of data. Like that. Okay. Tables is a collection of rows and columns. While creating the table itself, we will define the columns. And after creating the table, we will insert the data. We will see that practically going forward. Okay. As this is an Excel file, I wrote like this, but in SQL to create the tables, to insert the data, we will have some syntaxes. For doing each and everything, we will have some syntaxes. We will follow the syntax to do our tasks. Okay. Now, let me tell you one more point here. SQL follows RDBMS. RDBMS technique. RDBMS is nothing but relational database management system. Okay. Relational database management system. What is relational database management system in the sense? As I said you, inside the database, we will create the tables, and inside the tables where we will store the data, right? So if our tables are related to each other, then we will say that database is following RDBMS technique. Okay, so by default, our SQL follows RDBMS only. That means inside this, every time inside our database, our tables will be related to each other. How our tables will be related, how we will create the relationship between the tables going forward, we will see. Okay, so this is about a basic understanding of SQL. I hope I'm clear. If it is clear, I'll show you the user interface of MySQL. Okay. So once we are done with demo classes, I'll show you the installation process of MySQL. But for now, I'm just opening and let me show you the user interface, and let's create our first database. Okay. So after installing, whenever you open this MySQL workbench, you can see like this, something called as local instance. You need to click on it. Then we can able to see this thing. Let me close. These are some files which are already open. Just a second. Okay. So this is the user interface of MySQL. Okay. First of all, to open a new SQL file here, we have two options. Okay. This is as Pankaj, any doubts? Okay. So to open a SQL file, we have two ways. Okay. The first one is we will call it as menu bar, and this we'll call it as toolbar. Okay. So in menu bar, we have file option, right? We need to click on this file and new query tab, second option. If I'm clicking on the new query tab, I can able to open one new SQL file here. Okay. Likewise, the shortcut to open the SQL file is I need to click on the first icon of the toolbar, this one. This one. Okay. So if I am clicking here, one more file will be open like that. Two ways. This is the shortcut. Okay. Inside this file only, we need to write all the SQL queries and we can save our work. Okay. To save our work, we need to click on this save button inside the file. After writing something, if I want to save this in my system, then I need to click this save button. Then it will allow me to save this file in my system. Okay. And if I wanted to open already saved files, then I need to click on this folder icon, the first icon. If I'm clicking on the folder icon, it will allow me to open any SQL file like this. Okay. So this is, we will use to open already saved file. This button we will use to save the file. And this is an execute button. After writing every query, we need to execute to see the output, right? So this is our execute button, third icon. And at the bottom, this is our output section. Okay. Towards the left side, you can see something called as schemas. So towards the left side, you can see something called as schemas, and below schemas, you can see some list of names right here. This is nothing but these are the list of databases available in my system. Okay. These are all the database names. I have this many databases. That is the reason you can see all the names. But once you install the software in your system, you can able to see only one, that is this database. Then whatever databases you will create, that database names you can observe. Okay. So this is the place where that you can see the list of databases available. This is information section. Suppose if I am selecting anything, for example, I have, this is one database. Okay. We can expand this database. If I expand, you can able to see 4 sections here. One is tables, views, stored procedures, functions. Okay. So now currently we are dealing with tables, but going forward, we will learn about views, stored procedures as well. Okay. So if I expand tables here, I can able to see all the table names which we have in our database. Okay. Suppose if I'm clicking any table here, you can able to see the information about that table here at the bottom in the information section, like how many columns are there and what are the data types. We will learn about all these things going forward clearly, but just for an overview, I'm explaining this. Okay. So this is the place where you can find the database name. This is the information section. This is the output section at the bottom. This one, output section. This is information section. This below schemas, it is nothing but database names. This is the file where you need to write all the SQL queries. Okay. So before starting, let me tell you some points here. SQL is case insensitive. That means you can use uppercase or lowercase, no problem. Okay, anything is fine, especially in MySQL. Okay, it is case insensitive. And we have something called as comments in MySQL. Okay, that is, we have 2 types of comments. 2 types of comments. One is single line comments. Let me write it at the bottom. Okay, single line comments that if you observe here, whatever I'm writing here, before that I'm using one symbol, right? 2 hyphens I'm using. So that is nothing but a comment. Well, first of all, what is comment here in the sense? Whatever we will write inside comments, that will be non-executable. Okay. If we don't want to execute something, you can just keep it inside comments. Okay, so we can use two types of comments. One is single line comments like this. In single line, if I wanted to write a comment, this symbol I'll use. We have two symbols. Okay, first symbol is this one, or even I can use hash. Anything is fine. If I use hash also, it will act as single line comment. If I use this symbol also, it is a single line comment, just like this. Then likewise, we are having multi-line comments also. Multi-line comments. Multi-line comments. To start the multi-line comments, I need to write like this. Hash and star, and then I can write anything here. Okay. And to close, again, I need to use star and hash. This is the start of the comment. This is the end of the comment. In between, how many lines you want, that many lines you can write. Something like paragraph, whatever it is, you can write. And whatever you write inside the symbol, that is considered as multi-line comment, and that is non-executable. If you don't want to execute something in real time, if you want to give some nodes, or if you're trying with any code, and if anything goes wrong, then you can write that inside comments. Okay. In learning process here, what I'll do, I'll write all the notes inside comments like this. Okay. I don't believe in giving theory kind of notes for you. So once you joined in the course, on the daily basis, you will receive the same SQL files as a notes. Here only you can able to see, theory part, and at the bottom you can able to see queries also, some examples also. So whenever you wanted to revise, if you open one file, that would be enough for you. For example, this is one file. Suppose you can see this example. Question is also here only. Answer is also here only. If I wanted to give any notes, I can give like this, and then some examples. Like this, in this files only, I'll send it to you. Okay. So I'll write notes inside a comments here. I hope it is clear up to here. Let's keep the session interactive. If you have any doubts also, you can ask me.
Understood.
Sorry, Hamza?
Yeah, understood.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, now let's create a data.
One thing, like the notes you said, na, the same whatever this text file is there, the same
Correct.
thing you will provide, or anything, any other soft copy will be provided apart from the PDF?
No, this files only I'll provide, and this will be more than enough. Okay. Here only I'll mention everything, like all the notes, theory part of nodes, and even the queries, syntaxes, everything will be written here only. Suppose in class, if I miss anything also, I'm not going to send the same file. I already have one, some files where each and every point is mentioned. Usually for every batch, I'll send those files only.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ma'am, do we get recording for this?
Of course. About daily, starting from today, even the demo videos also, and afterwards also, each and every recording you will get. Once you get registered, they will, share you one access folder, Google Drive access folder. I'll show you how to access that. From the day you got registered, from that day till 6 months, the videos will be available for you, and I'll share the notes from my end.
Okay.
Okay, so let's create our first database. So as I said, we have something called as syntaxes. Syntax, we'll call it as something like rules, I can say, or else something like a formula, I can say. In SQL, we will use the syntaxes only to solve each and every concept. Okay, basically to do everything, we will have some syntax. So like that, to create database also, we will have a syntax, that is create database name is a syntax to create the database. Okay, so let's see. Let me create a database. Create database. Let me give a database name as maybe SQL demo. We already have that database, so let me remove that. Whenever we are creating database names or table names, we need to use unique names. Okay, so let me just drop it quickly. Okay, so Yeah, let's create this. I wrote create database name. After that, we need to select like this and we need to click on this execute button, third button. Okay. Then you can see that particular thing in the output section. Okay. Like this green color tick mark in the sense it is executed successfully. If we get some errors, it will show us red color cross mark. Okay. Now the database is created. To see this particular database name in this list, what we need to do, we need to refresh here. We have a refresh button beside schemas. Here we need to refresh. I'm just refreshing. Now let me, yeah, you can see here, SQL demo. This is the database which I created just now. Let me expand this. You can see we have tables, views, stored procedures, functions. Of course, in every database you will have. Suppose observe, above we am having SQL8. If I'm expanding, tables also I can able to expand, same mark. If I'm clicking on this symbol, I can able to see the tables, right? Whereas in SQL demo, I don't have the symbol because we just created a SQL demo database. We didn't create a table so far, right? That is the reason it is showing me section, but we don't have this symbol to expand, right? After creating some tables, we can able to expand it. Okay, just now I created a database. Now let's see how we are going to create a table. Create table. So for creating table also, we will have a syntax. Let me write that syntax first. So create table, table name. After that, we need to we need to use parentheses, that is brackets. Within the brackets, I need to give column names, maybe column name 1. If you remember, in Excel file, I showed you, right? Employees is my table name, in which employee ID, employee name, salary, date of joining are the columns, right? Let's create the same example, same table. So these are all the column names. We need to create columns also whenever we are creating the table only. So we need to write like this, column name 1. And for each and every column, we need to use data types. What is data type? I'll explain you in a while. Okay. Column name 2, like that. How many columns we want, that many columns we need to define. But after defining each and every column, we need to define the data type. Okay. Like that, comma, maybe something like this. Okay. So 2 columns I give, but how many columns you wanted to give, that many columns you can give. That is the reason I kept this dots. Okay, so this is the, or else let me remove the dots, or else maybe someone will confuse. Okay, like this, how many you want, that many column names you can give. This is the syntax of creating table. So let's create. So create table, same employees name we will create, employees table we will create. So I'm using the same name with employees. Okay, let me use employee name. Okay, comma, sorry, first employee ID, comma, employee name, comma, salary, comma, date of joining. Okay, so 4 columns I wanted to use here, but each and every column, what I said, we need to define data type also, right? So first we will understand what is data types, how many data types are there, and then we'll get back to this create table syntax. Okay, so data types. What is data type in the sense? Let me open Excel file once. See, as I said that of course, we can able to store our data inside Excel files also, but we have some limitations in Excel file, right? So like that, we have one limitation. For example, this is employees table. I'm having some data. This is salary column. Okay. Suppose here instead of 60,000, I'm entering something like high. Or randomly I enter something, it is accepting. It is not telling me that this is salary column. You need to enter numbers only. You are entering some wrong data. It is not telling me, it is not stopping me, right? This is one of the biggest drawback of Excel file. Knowingly or unknowingly, if we enter some wrong data or if we enter some irrelevant data, Excel will accept whatever we enter. It won't alert us or it won't stop us entering any wrong data. It won't alert us saying, this is wrong. Check whatever you are doing. Something like that. It won't give us any errors. It will just accept whatever we give. Okay, so this is one of the biggest drawback of Excel file. And to avoid these drawbacks in database, we are using data types concept. For each and every column, To avoid this problem only, for each and every column, we will define data types. And data types is something which will decide, okay? Data types use it to decide what kind of values we can store inside any column. Okay, so data type only decide what kind of values I can store inside any column. That means as this is salary column, I need to enter numbers only. As this is date of joining column, I need to enter dates only. Irrespective of that, if I'm entering something in employee name column, if I'm entering date also wrong, right? Like that, we will define data types, and that data types only check us whether we are entering the correct data or not. If we are entering the wrong data, it will throw us error. Okay, so basically we have few types of data types. First one is numerical data type. Okay. Second one is character or string data type. Then date time data type. Mostly these three data types we will use in real time. Okay. Numerical data type again divides into two. First one is int and the second one is float. Okay. Likewise, in character also we have two data types. One is char and the second one is varchar. Okay, so char and varchar. Likewise, we have date time data type also. Here again we are having two data types. One is date and the second one is date time. Now let me show you about this data types by showing you one picture. Okay, just give me a second. See this one. Suppose first one is numeric data type or numerical data type. Here we are having int and float as two types. Int is nothing but it will allow us to store numbers. Float is nothing but it will allow to store decimal values also. Sometimes we need to store decimal values, right? Suppose salary column, we can have 1.2 lakh, 2.3 lakhs, right? So whenever we wanted to store decimal values, we need to define float as a data type. But this float will accept normal numbers also. If I'm defining float as a data type, of course I can enter salary as 1.2 lakh, but even I can enter something like 50,000 also. It will accept numbers also. Int in the sense only numbers, float in the sense numbers and decimal values. Okay. Likewise, characters or string. Whenever we are trying to store some characters data, then we will use this. We have two types again, char and varchar. So what is char, what is varchar? I'll explain you in a while. We have some differences also. I'll explain you by taking one example going forward. Next, date and time data type. Again, we have some two data types here. Okay, date data type. If you are storing only date, then you will use date. Along with the date, if you are storing time, then you will use date time data type. Okay, so here we need to use a format. We will have one format. Okay, the format of date data type is year, then month, then date. Like this you need to follow. Complete 4 digits of year, complete year, then month, then date. This format only you need to follow. If you use any other format, it won't accept. It will throw the error. Okay, and for date time also we are having format, and that format is, let me write at the bottom, year, month, date, then hour, minute, second. Like this, here hyphens and here colons, like this you need to use. The same format you need to use, then only SQL will accept, or else it will throw us error. Okay, what is char and what is varchar, I'll explain you in the while. As I said, and int in the sense it will use it to store numbers, right? Float in the sense use it to store decimals, decimal values, and numbers also. Okay, and one more point here for character data. Of course, I'll explain you what is char and varchar, but one thing here,
Whenever we define character data, we need to define size also. We need to define size also. What is this? Let's see. Okay, before that, first, as we understood the types of data types, whatever available, now let's go back to our employees table and let's create this table. I'm just copying this and I'm writing at the bottom. Okay. Now let's try to see how we are going to create the table. Okay. So the syntax is table name. For column names, for every column name, we need to define data types, right? That is what I wrote. Column name 1, then data type. Column name 2, then data type. So like now I need to give data types for each and every column here. So employee ID, obviously my employee ID will be in numbers. So what data type I can use here? Numbers. I can use int, right? Like that. So I can use integer here. Simply I need to write int as data type here. For ename, I'm using char as a data type. Of course, I'll explain you the difference. For now, I'm using char. But what I said, whenever we are defining data types, we need to define size also, I said, right? So after writing char or varchar, what we need to do, we need to write brackets, and within the brackets, we need to define some size. What this means in the sense, here in employee name column, I'm defining size as 10. That means I am allocating 10 bytes of memory here. 10 bytes of memory I'm allocating for this particular employee name column. That is, I am supposed to enter only 10 bytes or 10 characters. Okay, 10 bytes of memory in the sense 10 characters only I can able to enter here. That is, I can enter 3-letter word, I can enter 5-letter word. Like that, I can enter up to 10-letter word only. If I'm trying to enter an 11-letter word, 12-letter word, it will throw us error because I'm allocating only 10 bytes of memory only for this particular column name, and each byte of memory will accept each character, single character. Okay, like that. Next, salary column, of course. Again, for salary column, maybe I'll define float as a data type because sometimes we may enter decimal values also for salary, right? So float I give. Next, date of joinings, I'll give date data type. Okay, like this. For every column name, what data we are going to enter, we will have an idea, right? Accordingly, we need to define the data types. Employee ID definitely will be in numbers only. If you think it can be combination, suppose instead of numbers, if our employee ID is like this, it's okay. Suppose if our employee ID is like this, along with letters if we have, then we need to define char or varchar. Okay. Next, employee name, character data. So I give char, salary. Maybe sometimes we may use decimal values, so I give float because float will accept normal numbers also. Date of joining, so I give date as a data type. Okay, this is how we will create a table. This is a creating table syntax. So let me select this and execute. Okay, sorry, I forgot one thing. My bad. See, first what we did, we created a database, right? After creating database, every time we need to activate the database. Okay, before explaining table, here I should tell you, maybe I forgot. Okay, after creating database, every time we need to activate the database. Okay, because if you can see here, of course in real time we don't activate the database because we will connect to our client's database only. We will work with only one database, so there won't be any problem there. But here in my system, I'm having so many databases, right? So every time before using, I need to activate the database. Then only SQL will understand what particular database I'm going to use. Okay, if you see here, currently DURGASOFT is the database name which is currently in activation, but I'm not using this particular database. That is the reason whenever I created the table, it is showing table already exists because I already have employees table in DurgaSoft database. Actually, we wanted to use this SQL demo database, right? So I need to activate that particular database. To activate, we have one syntax, that is use database name. Okay, so let me write it as use SQL demo. Okay, now I'm executing this. If you observe, now this particular database is got into activated, right? It got activated. You can see this particular database into dark black color or bold characters, correct? So now every time daily, whenever you started working, you need to, especially in learning process, you need to activate the database. Then only SQL will execute all the queries inside this database. Okay. Now let's create the table. I hope I'm clear. So let's create the table. Now the table got created. Okay. When if we get some errors also, we can able to see the error message very clearly. It is saying table employees already exist because previously DurgaSoft database is in activation. There I already have employees data, the employees table. That is the reason it is showing table already exists. Right? Likewise, whatever errors we will do, whatever mistakes we will do, error message will be very clear here. By seeing that messages, we can understand what mistake we did. Okay. Now the table got created. Okay. To see that table name, we need to refresh here. Let me refresh. Then you can able to expand the tables. You can see employees table here, right? Whenever I'm selecting the employees table in the information section, I can able to see the employee's name and the data type's name, whatever I created, employee and the data type name, right? Now the table structure is created. We need to insert the data. Okay. So to insert the data, we need to use insert command. Okay. And the syntax will be like insert into table name values. Okay. Then I need to use parenthesis, and inside I need to give some values. Okay. Let's see. Insert into table name is employees here, right? I'll give values and I'll start giving the values. Whenever we are giving the values, we need to use the same sequence. Like first I need to give employee ID, then employee name. In the same column sequence I need to give. So my employee ID, first employee ID is 1. Then maybe I'll give an employee name as Ram. Then I'll give some salary, maybe 60,000. And I'll give some date of joining. But as I said, we need to use this format only. Year, then month, then date. Okay. So inside the brackets, we need to use the same sequence of columns. And after writing, we can see here a comma. Here, comma, what is doing? It is separating the column data. That is, SQL will understand this is first column data, this is second column, third column, like that. Once we are done with the complete row, we need to close the bracket and then we need to keep a comma and then we need to write the second row in one another bracket, something like this. Okay. I hope I'm clear. And if you observe here, we are writing this names, that is character data and dates in single quotes. Either we can use single quotes or double quotes, no problem. But definitely we need to use quotes to write character data and dates. Only numbers we will give normally. Okay. So let me insert another row also. Third row. 3. Maybe I'll write name as John. Salary 55,000. Date of joining. Okay. One more row. Let me enter quickly. Okay, so 4 rows I entered. Now I'm just selecting this complete thing and I'm executing. Execute button is here. Now you can see it got executed successfully, right? That is, we created the table structure by using create command. In this, we gave the table name, we defined the column names, and we defined data types also. And in that table, we inserted some data by using insert command. Now to display the data, we can use select command. Okay. And the syntax will be like select star from table name. Technically, we will call this as asterisk. Okay. Or we can also call it as star, which is used to display complete data. Whenever we wanted to display complete data from the table, we will use star. Suppose I'll write it as select star from employees. Employees is our table name, right? If I execute like this, I can able to see the output. I can able to see the table data as an output. This is what we created, right? 4 columns, that is employee ID, employee name, salary, date of joining, and 4 rows of data, right? We got to see the table just by using select command. Okay, if I want to see any particular data, then I can use particular column names, something like suppose select employee name comma salary. If I wanted to see this data only, then I can use only these 2 column names instead of asterisk. Whenever we use asterisk or star, that means it will show us the complete data. If I wanted to see any particular data, that particular column names we can use. Okay, you can see like this, employee name, salary. Okay, this is how we will create what we learned today, how to create the database, right? Then activating the database, creating table. We understood about how many data types are there, why data types we will use, right? Then we saw we created a table, we inserted data and we displayed the data, right? I hope whatever I said today, that is clear for you. Tomorrow I'll explain you what is char and varchar. We have some differences and that will be one of the important interview question. What is the difference between char and varchar? I'll explain you tomorrow by taking an example very clearly. Okay. Before that, we are just having few minutes of time. Let me show you the course content which we are going to follow in our entire course. Okay. First of all, introduction to database and SQL, which is done today. Maybe limitations of Excel file, not tomorrow. I'll explain you about the limitations in couple of days. Okay, then creation of database and tables, of course this is also done today. MySQL installation, once we are done with demo classes, I'll show you this. Then data types in SQL, which we done today, and SQL commands and sub languages. From here our main concepts will start. SQL commands. We have 5 types of sub-languages, something called as DDL, DML, DCL, TCL, and DQL. In each sub-language, we have so many commands in it. We will learn all the commands very detailedly. Okay. Then integrity constraints. We have some constraints like primary key, foreign key, not null key. Okay. Unique key, check constraint, default constraint, all those constraints, why we will use them. Okay. And when to use, like that we will learn very practically by creating tables and creating the constraints on them. Okay, up to here this is a very basics of SQL. So up to here I'll use a normal tables like today, maybe employees table, students table, customer table, like that. Once we are done with this concept, the main speciality of my course is that I will explain you on the real-time database, that is a movies database. It is a kind of OTT platform database, something like Netflix or Hotstar. Okay, I'll give you that database. First I'll explain you the database, then I'll show you how to restore that database into your systems. Then from here we will learn each and every concept by using this database only, because once you start working in any company, definitely you need to you are going to deal with some large volumes of data only, right? Instead of learning all the concepts in simple small tables, if you learn all the concepts by using this real-time database, you will something like you can get some hands-on experience in dealing with the databases, right? Here we are having so many tables, so many columns in it, and thousands of rows. Okay, so as we are having so much of data, we can frame the example questions very easily. Okay, so next concept is operators and clauses, where we have some clauses like where clause, order by clause. Okay, limit clause, distinct clause. Okay, all the clauses I will explain very detailedly by solving some examples from the movies database only. Likewise, we have some operators also, and operator, or operator, not operator, and range operator, that is nothing but between operator, and membership operator, that is in operator. Okay, and at the end we have like operator. Basically this is used to find pattern matchings of the data. Okay, if you wanted to find a data on specific pattern, then we will use this like operator. We have some wildcards in it. We will learn each and everything very practically by solving many examples. Then functions, we have some functions like number functions, character, date functions, aggregate functions. In that again we are having some so many functions. We will learn each and every function detailing. Next, joins. I can say, first of all, SQL is a very important subject, whatever domain you choose. It can be data science, it can be full stack, it can be testing, whatever it is, everywhere SQL is needed. right? However, SQL, I feel that SQL is a complete, it's a backbone for complete IT industry. And I believe that joins is a backbone for complete SQL. Mostly in real time, we will work with joins only. Okay. So we need to learn this concept very carefully. So we have so many types of joins like inner join, left join, right join, outer join, self join, cross join, natural join. We will learn each and every join very practically by solving many examples. Not only the examples which I'll explain here, only for this concept, not all the concepts, only for this concept, as this is very important and useful. I'll provide some assignment questions on this concept, and I'll give some time. If you are interested, you can solve that questions, and if you have any doubts, you can ask me. After some time, I'll explain that questions in the class also, so that you can check whether you can able to solve correctly or not. Okay. Next, regular expression. This is also one more concept using which we can find some pattern matchings of the data. We have anchors in it. We will learn all the anchors very clearly. Next, group by clause, having clause. This is also some clauses. Some clauses we will learn here. Okay, but to understand group by clause and having clause, we need to understand joins. That is the reason I kept it here. Okay, how to use aggregate functions in group by clause also we will learn. Next, subqueries. Okay, we have three types of subqueries basically: correlated subquery, single row subquery, multi-row subquery, non-correlated subquery. Everything we will learn very practically. Okay, next, normalization. Okay, so basically from clients we will get some raw data. Okay, that raw data will be in the form of denormalization. To convert denormalization into normalization, we will use some normal forms. Okay, 1NF, 2NF and 3NF. So I can bet in every other institute they will just either they won't include this concept. If they include, they will just give you some theory notes. But I'll take one real-time data and I'll show you how we are going to convert denormalized data into normalized form by using these three normal forms very practically. Okay. Next, ER diagrams. Next, views. One more important concept here: views, indexes. From here also, all of them are important. Indexes, temporary tables. Basically, to remove duplicate data, we will use temporary tables. Next, CTE. One more advanced concept. We will call it as common table expression. Next, store procedures. In real time, we will use store procedures also very frequently. Next, window functions. Previously, this is also very important. Previously, I didn't include this concept, but upon students request only I added this, because in recent times in every interviews you can face this, right? Everyone is asking about, if you have some experience, everyone will ask about explain window functions. Basically we'll have 5 types of window functions: rank, dense rank, row number. Okay, lead and lag. I will explain each and every window functions with examples, and at the end we will see some interview questions, frequently asked interview questions also we will discuss. So this is about our course content which we are going to cover in 35 sessions starting from today. Any doubts, guys? Anyone? The main specialty of my coaching is that, as I said, we will use one real-time OTT platform database, and along with that, after completion of every class, I'll provide you directly the SQL files, where by using these files you can learn, while revision or while learning, you can see the content very easily. And here only examples will be there, here only notes will be there, so it will be very helpful for you. Apart from this, if you have any doubts, if you have any questions, you can ask me. Our admin team already kept the details about the registration in Zoom chat. You can just go through that. Okay, as you know, the course duration is 35 days. Course fees is of 3,000. If you are interested, you can just get registered with us. Okay, any questions?
Ma'am, can we just Google Pay with that information?
Sure, you can
Payment.
do that, but please send that screenshot to that particular numbers, whatever they mentioned in this chat.
Okay.
Okay, and as you can say, they mentioned already Google Pay or Phone Pay to that number, right? For that you can do.
Yes, ma'am.
And as you attend the session today, you will even get the email or whatever mail ID by using which you join. For that you will get all the details. Just check that once. Same message they will send it to you in the email also. Okay.
Okay.
Any other doubts, guys? If you have, you can ask me, or else I'll end the session. Actually, I'm having one more class now at 7. So I hope it is clear. So let's meet in tomorrow's class also. Tomorrow is also a demo class. Let's meet tomorrow and let me continue the concepts tomorrow. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye.